Hi, Eddie Marcus here. Have you ever gone through a divorce? Sure, many of you have. In fact, many of you are so glad that you had the opportunity to go through a divorce. It's like fresh air. And yet there are many of you as well who feel victimized. You stood before witnesses, you took an oath before these witnesses, and even before your God, that whatever circumstances you find that comes about within this relationship, it would not be strong enough to defeat you, that you would be together forever until death do us part. And being a victim, you felt like you were betrayed. Well, that feeling is sort of what I feel about the church. As a kid, I felt that the church should have been doing what it talked about. It should have been showing the love of God that it talked about. And I never saw it. And being a kid, I just couldn't understand why or what to do or anything of that sort. But during that period of time, a young man came through, lifting through words the plight and the Spirit of God. His name was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he walked according to the things he said. He said things relative to what God's purpose in his life was, and he walked it. And I saw, even as a kid, that you can take what God is saying or what you study about God, and you can actually take it places, as Dr. King did. But I'm still a kid, so Dr. King is eventually killed, and I become a young man, and as young men do, they have to go out and see what the world is really like. And I did that, and I found out what the world was really like. And I found out that God needed to be represented here, outside of the trees and the earth and all the stuff that grow out of it, and even the human body. He needed to be represented in the human spirit through the body. And I found very little of that, so that seemed like my job. I cared. And since I cared, I mean I had to do something. And here we go again. You find that why people, even as a man, I see people who still doing the same thing in the church as they were doing back in those days of my youth. Talking and doing nothing. Talking and doing nothing. And so I asked myself, why? And as I look back all over, I find out that the reason is fear. People dishonor God in action because of fear. See, they go to church and they hear people talk about God and they want to believe this stuff and they say they believe it, but they really doubt it. They just can't make it a part of being real. Because if they did, they wouldn't fear death. They want to live forever because they are afraid. They don't. If they die, they don't know whether they go to heaven or hell. They don't know what happens, so they're afraid. They don't want to die from a sickness or disease. They don't want to get shot. They don't want to die from accident. They don't want to die from. They just want to go to sleep and don't wake up. That's the ultimate, most desirous way of dying on the planet. And yet, they know they're going to die because everybody around them is dying. But they want to hold on because they don't know. They don't know. And the reason that the church is so dead when it comes to God is because they don't know. You heard the expression, I believe. I believe indicates to all hearers that whoever said I believe don't know. Because if they knew, they would say, I know. So we got believers all over the earth, but they don't know. And in order to make changes in the society, somehow people got to believe in somebody that knows or act like they know. And if they're going to be talking about God, they got to represent God and all God's people, all people that are created. And anybody come and represent anybody less than that, anybody less than all people, even the sinners, when you come in here representing God, you represent all people. the good ones and the bad ones. God came to send his son to earth to save the bad ones. Not the good ones, but the bad ones. Those are the ones he loved so much he didn't want to lose them. He sent his son to die for the bad ones, to let the bad ones know that it's better to be dead than to follow a clown. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're dealing with. Now, am I to tell you that if you die, you're going to go to heaven? I can't tell you that. I can tell you this, that you were made by a power that you have no knowledge of whatsoever. And you're sustained by that power. And all of the abilities and lack thereof that exist is all because of that power. Now, I know that peace is possible. Justice brings peace. I know that doing things together happily brings prosperity. And I know when those things are satisfied, you can live joyous. I know that. I know that everybody has a desire for certain things, and certain things are coming amongst us all. And I know that they exist in abundance and can continue to exist in even more of an abundance that none of us could ever suffer lack. I know that. And it is that represents the God that made me. And this is what I want for the American people. And so this is what I advocate for the American people. Now, I'm not a member of any organization presently. I have been a member of a few. But presently, I'm not a member of any of them. And I don't plan to be a member of any of them in the future. I don't plan to be a member of any of them because they are not doing what I have been given to do. And what I have been given to do, to me, is as important as everything that they are doing. It's as important. If they're speaking for black folks, me speaking for the human race is just as important. If you're speaking for gay, me speaking for the human race is just as important. If you're speaking for people who got cancer, me speaking for the whole human race is just as important. So I don't have time to be breaking all these little bits, because it's nothing but a statement of division. My mission is to bring us together in love, saying that every one of your concerns are important to God. And God has a solution to them, and you don't have to beg for it. All you have to do is stand up and represent. You got to beg. You know who you got to beg. That's why you're begging. But I'm trying to tell you, it's time out for begging. Now's the time for living. And as Uncle Junior would say, enjoying. Bye-bye.